Well, I think the diversity of movement, you know, for lack of a better term, I'm just such a explorer of movement. Um, they all provide, you know, yoga provides a calmness. You know, the martial arts provides, you know, a lot of skill. It provides a lot of balance and coordination. Not to say that yoga doesn't, because it certainly can. In fact, sometimes I wonder if yoga is more martial arts and is martial arts more yoga. You know, so I'm always kind of going back and forth because they're so close on so many different levels. But they've all contributed. You know, I mean, if you hang around a person who lifts weights and nothing but lifts weights and he body builds, well, when I did bodybuilding, I trained and coached people basically like how to be a bodybuilder. And when I did Olympic weightlifting, that's kind of how I coached people. And so as I got into yoga and martial arts and into body weight exercise and more free movement based, then the barriers begin to come down. And then you just saw that it was just movement, and it became more of a organic flow of how you actually would move and articulate your body based on your expressions. It's a little hard to teach something like that unless you've actually experienced these kinds of things. So they have all made their own unique contributions. And when you see the kinds of exercises that you're going to see some conventional things, and then you're going to see some things that, you know, you probably didn't see before. And you're going to see some yoga influence, and you're going to see some martial art influence, and you're going to see a little of this and a little of that. But overall, you're going to see it basically a system that just continues to move. And that's really the key. As long as a person, again, and I reiterate, that they're honoring themselves when they do it. They're not pushing too hard. They feel good when they do it. They're doing it with a positive intent. They're listening to their body the whole time. That's body practice. My background in the martial arts, I have been so fortunate to have Christopher Charnos as my primary teacher. Now he's my training partner, and he's my best friend. He's just the greatest guy. He's spent hundreds and hundreds of hours. And from Chris, I have learned so much in grappling, in non-classical Kung Fu, in Muay Thai, in Visayana Eskrima from the late Sonny Umpad. He has articulated for me and started me on the path that I became very explorative with Silat, and then taking, you know, I mean, as a kind of changing subject, but going back to my youth, you know, I studied Taekwondo. But again, and his biggest teaching was never to lock me into one system. You know, he taught me a lot. You know, I learned a lot from him in the modern Arnis. You know, he was a student of many good people in the sticks. And so, you know, modern Arnis is a big part. Jeet Kune Do, or as Kelly Worden would say, renegade Jeet Kune Do. And but that again, these are basically systems. And the coolest part about all of these systems is that when you have an understanding that on some level they're all the same, the movements are different, but conceptually they're basically all the same. And when you can actually make that work and be articulated for you as an individual, as a person, then it becomes your art. And that's what was special about the teaching that I got from Chris Charnos, is he made an art for me, and he does that for whoever he teaches. So what I do is when I teach my coaching to people, I make an art for them. That's what I've learned from Chris. I've learned how to articulate different things. And it doesn't matter whether it's martial arts or strength or conditioning or whatever, I have to articulate for that person. And having been exposed to various martial arts for most of my life, I have more of a breadth of information that allows me to go into, instead of just having a system of karate or taekwondo or Muay Thai, or just one solitary system. Because if that's all you know, well, then that's all you know. But that might not be designed for that particular person. The same thing in yoga. I've studied many forms of yoga: Iyengar, Ashtanga, which are the two most popular, but there's a lot of dynamic forms of yoga out there. I'm just a Hatha yoga instructor, which basically is just I endorse a physical representation of yoga postures that are the most widely accepted. But my methodology of teaching is not by talking at a bunch of Sanskrit and not trying to aggrandize myself by putting the words, saying the word asana on the end of every position so that I can sound intelligent and the other people look at me like, well, what the hell did you just try to say? I mean, I don't understand that. So that occurred to me that the Sanskrit language of yoga was something in my own teaching that I did not want to have really a part of that, because it broke down the barrier of communication. And so I'm trying to bring people up into understanding what yoga is rather than trying to separate. So while I'm not, totally flowing in my yoga practice, I'm also not on the far other side of being completely alignment based like a lot of people who study Iyengar yoga. And having taken Iyengar classes, you're going to learn how to become very aligned. If you take Ashtanga class, you're going to learn how to flow very well. If you take Prasara yoga, you're going to learn how to flow extraordinarily well. But remember that yoga means to bring together, to yoke, to unify. And now, for me, if the body is not really in sync, in other words, if it's fighting too hard to get the perfect alignment, if it's fighting too hard to flow just right, how can you be in sync? So this is why people they deviate to Ashtanga, or they deviate to Iyengar, or any one of many different kinds of yoga. My stylized way of yoga really has been patterned after a gentleman that I, in the yoga circuit, that I admire very, very much and respect, in Brian Kest. And he's the owner of Power Yoga, because he explains things simply, and he is a master at what he does. He's been teaching yoga for over 20 years. But his methodology of how he teaches people, it's extremely unique, and he makes people feel accepted no matter how good, or bad that they think that they're doing. He makes people feel accepted in their own bodies. It's the same philosophy that I try to advocate for people to learn the body practice, because I think it's the most palatable, it's the most user-friendly, and it's really one of the most, hey look, 5 years from now, well after the popular, whatever's popular right now, Taibo came and went, and a lot of these things, they've come and gone. The P90X is going to come and go. All these programs are going to come and go. Years from now, I'll be practicing body practice. Okay? And it's because of the approach. It is about wellness. It really is all about well-being. That's the difference.